Are we on the brink of World War III? A question that sends chills down the spine of any rational human being. But is it mere alarmism, or could it be a sobering reality? The world is currently a chessboard of tense geopolitical scenarios. From the Middle East to Eastern Europe, conflicts are simmering, pushing us towards a potentially catastrophic showdown. Just think about it. We have Iran and Israel locked in a strategic power play. Their moves more about grand signaling than outright destruction. Then there's Russia, flexing its muscles on the borders of Ukraine, while NATO allies watch with bated breath. And let's not forget the escalating tensions between the superpowers of the world, the United States, Russia and China. Yet defense experts term these not as a prelude to World War III, but rather as an aggressive Cold War, a series of regional conflicts. But how do we differentiate? What exactly would it take for these scattered conflicts to coalesce into a full-blown world war? Let's delve into the history of these conflicts and try to understand if we're truly on the precipice of a third world war. To understand the potential for World War III, we must first look back at the conflicts that have shaped the world as we know it today. Our journey begins in the Middle East, specifically with the Iran-Iraq War that spanned the 80s. This 8-year-long conflict set the stage for decades of regional instability and conflict. It was not just about territory or resources, but also about ideological differences and power dynamics, which continue to impact the region today. Next, we turn our attention to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, one of the longest-lasting conflicts in modern history. It's a complex and multifaceted issue with roots in religious, territorial, and political disputes. This conflict has not only shaped the Middle East, but has also influenced international politics and relationships. We cannot forget the Cold War, a period of political and military tension between the United States and the Soviet Union, stretching from the mid-20th century to the early 90s. While it did not result in direct warfare between the superpowers, it was a significant period of ideological conflict that led to several proxy wars around the globe. This period redefined the global political landscape and introduced the world to the concept of nuclear deterrence. These conflicts, along with many others, have undeniably shaped the world we live in today. They have set the stage for current tensions and have influenced the way nations interact with each other. They have shown us that conflict is not always about open warfare, but can also be about ideology, economics, and power. So, where does this leave us? These conflicts have undoubtedly shaped the global political landscape, but do they pave the way to World War III? The nature of warfare has evolved significantly over the years. Once defined by open fields and clashing armies, today's battlefields are much less visible and far more complex. We've seen a shift from conventional warfare to something much more multifaceted, encompassing not only physical battles, but also proxy wars, information warfare, and economic conflicts. Let's take a moment to unpack these terms. In a proxy war, superpowers don't fight directly, but support, fund, or equip other nations to fight on their behalf. This tactic allows countries to pursue their interests without the risk and cost of direct conflict. The ongoing situation in Ukraine, with the tensions between NATO allies and Russia, is a typical example of a proxy war. Here, global powers are flexing their muscles and testing their strategies through others without diving headlong into open warfare. Now let's turn to information warfare. This is the use and management of information to pursue a competitive advantage. It's about influencing, disrupting, corrupting, or usurping the decision-making abilities of adversaries. In the digital age, information warfare has become a powerful tool in the arsenal of nations, impacting everything from elections to public sentiment. And finally, economic conflicts. These are battles fought not with guns and tanks, but with tariffs, sanctions, and trade wars. Economic conflicts can disrupt a country's economy, destabilize governments, and even lead to social unrest. They are a potent form of modern warfare, often used in conjunction with other strategies. So, we see that today's battlefields are as likely to be in the cyber realm, the global market, or the court of public opinion as they are on the ground. The ongoing conflicts worldwide, such as in Ukraine, or the tensions between NATO and Russia, are emblematic of this new, complex form of warfare. Despite the complex and multidimensional nature of modern warfare, it remains to be seen if these conflicts could escalate to a full-blown world war. The involvement of superpowers like the USA, Russia, and China is crucial in the escalation to a world war. As we navigate the treacherous waters of international relations, we must consider the positions and actions of the world's superpowers. Their stances on current conflicts and potential roles in a possible World War III are integral to our understanding of the global landscape. Let's start with the United States, a nation with a long history of involvement in global affairs. Presently, its stance on the conflicts in the Middle East, Ukraine, and Gaza is one of caution and strategic involvement. However, the prospect of the US providing tactical weapons to Taiwan, a move that would undoubtedly escalate tensions with China, is a potential trigger for a larger conflict. Moving on to Russia, a superpower with a formidable military and strategic influence. Russia's stance on Ukraine, a nation caught in the crossfire of international politics, is a potential flashpoint. The deployment of nuclear weapons by NATO in Ukraine, a move that Russia would undoubtedly view as a direct threat, could serve as a trigger for World War III. Lastly, let's talk about China, a rising superpower with significant economic and military strength. China's stance on Taiwan and the South China Sea are key points of contention, and any aggressive moves by other superpowers in these areas could spur a larger conflict. However, it's important to remember that these superpowers are acutely aware of the catastrophic consequences of a full-blown world war. The destruction, both material and financial, that would result from such a conflict is a potent deterrent. Moreover, the complexity of modern warfare, involving various dimensions like proxy wars, information warfare, and economic conflicts, adds further layers of caution and restraint. While the superpowers hold the keys to a potential World War III, the catastrophic consequences of such a war could deter them from taking that path. With these escalating tensions and conflicts, the question remains, are we heading towards World War III? To answer this, let's summarize what we've discussed so far. We've delved into the early sparks of conflict, some of which are still smoldering in regions such as the Middle East and Ukraine. We've looked at the modern battlefield, which is no longer just trenches and tanks, but a complex web of proxy wars, information warfare, and economic conflicts. We've also examined the stance of the superpowers. While their involvement is a crucial factor in a potential world war, they seem to be holding back from such a drastic step. The catastrophic consequences of a full-blown world war are too great to ignore. These include not just the material and financial destruction, but also the human cost and the potential obliteration of entire cities, or even countries in the event of nuclear warfare. Modern warfare is a complex beast, with many layers and dimensions. It's not just about who has the biggest army or the most advanced weapons. It's about strategy, diplomacy, and the delicate balance of power. It's about signaling strength without provoking outright destruction. The current conflicts, such as those between Iran and Israel or Russia and Ukraine, are more about these strategic signals than about total war. The use of nuclear weapons is not taken lightly by any nation, and for good reason, but just because the superpowers are cautious doesn't mean they are passive. They are actively involved in many of these conflicts, albeit indirectly. Whether it's through supplying weapons, providing financial aid, or exerting diplomatic pressure, they are shaping the course of these conflicts in significant ways. So are we heading towards World War III? While tensions are high and conflicts are ongoing, the consensus among defense experts is that the likelihood of a full-blown World War III in the near future remains low. But this doesn't mean we can rest easy. The situation requires constant vigilance and diplomatic efforts to ensure peace and stability. While the world is undoubtedly rife with conflicts and tensions, the likelihood of a full-blown World War III in the near future remains low. However, the situation requires constant vigilance and diplomatic efforts to ensure peace and stability.